You're listening to the Jan Price Show, all about movies. And today, my guest is Dr. Jennifer Conrad. And we're going to be talking about the award winning documentary. And I love the title, American Cats, the Good, the Bad, and the Cuddly. It's a great title. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. This is an actually adorable documentary, and but it's about a serious topic. So it's interesting, the way that this was filmed and created was in a cute, wonderful, fun way, but it's something that it's very serious as far as cats. And I'm just going to say right up front, I am a big cat lover. I have had every single one of my cats declawed.
Wow.
After watching this, I would never, ever, ever do it again. So thank you for making this.
Well, no, thank you for being open-minded enough to know that you can change and you can do the right thing at any time. And your future cats appreciate the fact that you're open-minded and think and that you thought about it enough to know that, because I think if declawing were called deknuckling, which is really what it is, then I think people would take a second to say, wait, what are you going to do to my cat? But because veterinarians portrayed it, veterinarians who declaw want to portray it as some magical way that they can do a fancy manicure and remove the claws. It's not. It's an amputation of that last toe bone. It's serious.
And you show it. And, in the pain that some of the cats have gone through, Burrito, really cute, and all the cute names that are in this film. Uh, once you see that, I just like, I can't really see this. I don't want to look at this, and you wouldn't hurt your cat for the world, a kitten. And then I had no idea, zero, no idea, of what I was doing to my cats. I mean, one of my cats, I mean, he had kind of adopted me, and he was older, and I had it done. He was still killing birds and whatnot, and giving me, bringing me gifts all the time. He was able to do whatever he wanted to do without those claws. But anyhow, I would never do it again. So this is a very light, enlightening film for many people. So let's talk about how this film came about. And you're the executive producer of this film too. In addition,
Well, I
being
am. But I want to tell you that this film came about because I wanted to have an outside vision, an outside perspective of what declawing was. And when the filmmakers approached me about doing this film, I said I wanted to do it. I thought that it would be best if I had them look at it, that they wanted to hire a British comedian because obviously it's a very sensitive subject, but also it's very important to talk about the fact that all the facts are true. So even though I am the executive producer, it's not like it's not true. Everything was checked, fact checked, triple checked, because we wanted to make sure that it was honest, and then people could decide, just like how you decided that it was important to stop declawing. We wanted to make sure that people knew it was important to stop.
and it doesn't, and it's not hitting you over the head with it, it's exactly that. It's giving you the facts, and it's not trying to shock you, into it. It's a well done film in that respect, because it takes you on this journey, and you get to see how the clawing affects these cats. Let's talk about, because you're right. The host of this documentary, she's adorable, Amy Hoggart, who is a British comedian. She's adorable in this film, and actually, anybody who loves cats, you've got to see this film, because there's so many adorable cats in this film. So, how did Amy get involved in this? And I mean, you've got a great Todd Bieber, who's, award-winning director, is the director of it. How did you attract these people to create this film?
Well, um, the idea was to hire, we thought that the film would be easily digested by all sorts of people who love cats if it was funny, because otherwise it's too hard to watch a subject about fighting veterinary medical associations to stop them from allowing toe amputations on cats. So we wanted it to be funny. And it's also such an absurd topic when you think of it. It's such an absurd thing that Americans do to their cats if you know what it is. And so we wanted to make it so that it was infinitely shareable and people would want to watch it. And Todd Bieber had a relationship with Amy Hoggart from Full Frontal, which was Samantha Bee's late night show, and they had both worked on it, and they both love cats, so they were a natural combination to start it. And then I don't know if you noticed, but probably you did, that it was hard to fund this film, and so we crowdsourced the film. All the credits are for our cats, and it was a chance for people to make their cat a Hollywood nepo baby by paying a certain amount of money, and then their cats would be listed as producers or cinematographers and all these very silly puns. And it was a way that we could afford to make the film by because cats really want declawing to end. So we made a movie for cats by cats. And the side note to that, which I think you'll think is funny, is if the AVMA, the American Veterinary Medical Association, the big guy, the problem causer in the because the veterinary medical associations are the only opposition to declaw bans. And if they decide to sue us, then they will be suing a bunch of cats.
Ah, very clever way of doing that. Well,
Yeah.
I'm a big been watch. I love credits. I have watched credits since I was a child. Since somebody told me a movie's not over until the credits are done, and I always believe that. And so when I was looking through it, I saw somebody I know personally that I know who had been who is a producer, but obviously other famous names that were in there too that you had in there. So that was fun to see. Oh, that person and that person. And I love all the puns
Hmm.
throughout the film. It's just very creative. It's just a very well done creative film, and it's joyful. Again, it's not an easy topic, and if you had made this a serious hard to watch film, I'm not sure you would have generated the kind of outcome that you would like people to make, to change maybe people's minds about declawing. But because it is done in this fun, pun filled, excuse me, in a way, it just makes it entertaining. And yet, it covers this topic and you really understand what's going on. So I think it's well done.
Well, I'm glad you appreciate it. I'm also really glad that you thought about it for a while about it because it is a labor of love for all of us. Is our chance to protect a whole bunch of cats and also to expose the truth, which is that there's no good reason to declaw a cat. The only reason it keeps happening is because the veterinary medical associations know that it helps the bottom line of many veterinarians to keep doing it.
I was surprised that there's a lobby.
Oh, yeah.
Let's
And
talk about that.
in fact, the California Veterinary Medical Association has been a formidable uh, opponent for us in passing legislation in California, and they spend a lot of money to try and change the minds of legislators. So, because if legislators were all 6-year-olds, there's no way that declawing would be legal because any kid knows that it's incredibly horrible to amputate every one of a cat's toes to protect a couch. But legislators get donations from the California Veterinary Medical Association or every state's veterinary medical association. And that kind of muddies their thinking, in my opinion, because they should know better. They should know this is wrong and it has to stop.
Isn't there right now somebody's trying to pass a law right
Oh,
now in
that's
California?
that's us. That's the Paw
That's you.
Project.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are the sponsor. Assembly member Alex Lee, who's from the south part of the Bay Area, is the author of the bill, and it's already passed the assembly, and it's going to the Senate, basically, but Business and Professions on the 23rd of June, and I will be up there testifying. And if it passes that, then there's a good chance it will pass in California. So if everyone in California should write their state senators and say, please pass AB 867. 867 is the number, AB 867. And that helps a lot because legislators don't know why the the trade association, the Veterinary Medical Association, is against a bill that's obviously so good for cats. So they have to hear from their constituents that yes, pass it.
Okay. And we'll make sure we get that information and we can put that in the social media posting when this airs so people know where to call. Oh, but it'll be after the hearing's on the 23rd. When are they voting on it?
Well, they have until the end of July, I think, to vote on it.
Okay.
So
So that's fine then. We're in that window for sure.
yeah,
I was happy. I lived in New York for a good portion of my adult life, and I was happy to hear that they were the first state
yes,
to, decide that this is not a good thing to be doing anymore. That we should not
right.
be, declawing cats anymore. And there's several states that have followed suit, and that's because of the hard work that you and your team have done to bring this awareness. What was that like for you when having New York be the very first state to outlaw declawing?
Well, I think that it taught us a lot of lessons. First of all, it taught us that the only way to pass a ban is to have a very committed author. And that's Linda Rosenthal. She's an assembly member from the Upper West Side, and she was committed to doing this. So that was really important. It all happened in a whirlwind. It all happened that the Senate and the Assembly passed it in the same day. And then the governor signed it about 6 weeks later. So that happened really quickly, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we got Maryland, and after that, we got Massachusetts. Massachusetts, we passed earlier this year in 2025. And but as I say in the film, the Canadians have been passing the bans everywhere because they know it's wrong and they just stop doing it. All except for Ontario. Ontario, we still have to pass the ban, but and now we have legislation in multiple states, but California looks very likely to pass because Assembly Member Alex Lee is very, very committed to passing this, and his team uh, are very his they're delightful to work with. Andrew White is the person in his office who's in charge of this, and he is so smart and so good at this. So it's likely to pass in California, and so that will protect the cats of 40 million people.
Wow. As I
Yeah,
said, I was a believer in declawing, so you certainly have won me over
I'm glad.
to never, ever, ever do that again. I was really, it was also cute was that there's cat grooming, and that and I knew you could go to your vet and have them clip the nails of your cat, and now there's little caps you can put on them too. So
Yeah,
I thought that was
they're
kind of
little
cute.
they're little vinyl sheaths, and you put them over the claw just for while you're training the cat to buy yourself some time while you're training the cat to the appropriate place to scratch. You just buy yourself some time. It's not a permanent thing. You wouldn't want to do it all the time, but it's a way to stop them from being able to scratch. As our scratching posts, appropriate scratching posts in appropriate places. Like they have to be where the cat is and where you are, because the cat's marking territory, saying, this is my person. So you can't put the scratching post behind the dryer in the garage. It has to be where you are. And that way the cat marks it and says, hey, all other cats, this is my person.
With good advice there too, because who would have thought of that also? That needs to be where you are because that's where they
Right.
want to be. I had,
Right.
again, we don't put that together all the time. We put them so it's not in a place where people can see them, or be in
Right.
the way. I think
Yeah.
I remember, and maybe I'm wrong, but there used to be a spray you could put on your couch that
Oh
would
yeah.
tell them.
There's sprays that you can put on to attract a cat to a scratching post, and you can spray things to make them not want to scratch. But the most important thing is to find out what your cat's scratching. Like, let's say they're scratching the wooden legs of a table. Well, then they want a wooden scratching post, and you have to put it right there and make it more attractive than the table legs. Or if they're scratching the couch, then give them what they want, where they want, and they're perfectly trainable. You just have to find what makes them motivated and then train them. But not resort to amputating their toes.
Yeah, no, I agree. How did you initially, you've been a veterinarian for quite a long time. You were working with big cats. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about your background and how this all came about for you. And you've got this wonderful organization called Paw Patrol, not
Yeah,
Patrol,
Paw
Paw
Project.
Project.
Yeah, pawproject.org. Well, I started as a veterinarian, and I really love animals, and my whole family's in human medicine. So when you're in human medicine, you have one species you work on, and usually one part of that, like an ophthalmologist, one part, the eye. And then you can even specialize more to become like a cornea specialist. So you can get very deep knowledge on one subject. But I wanted to be able to work on every single other animal on the planet besides humans. And so I went into wildlife medicine. I went to UC Davis for vet school, and then I went into wildlife medicine, and I was taking care of all these different animals. But of course, I love cats. And so to be able to work on big cats, because big cats are little cat, they're very similar. And to be able to help them was really important. And that's how I got interested in declawing, is because so many of my patients, my big cat patients, were declawed, and they were suffering immensely from it. And so I thought I have to do something to help them. And that's what started the Paw Project.
No, I didn't even, until I read your background, I had never even thought about big cats being declawed, tigers and
Oh yeah.
lions, and you
They
never even thought about it because you go, well, what would be the reason for that?
well,
Most people who have a house cat are trying to protect their furniture,
right, right,
basically.
right, right. But so wrongly assuming that if you declaw a big cat, then it will be safer to work with. But that's not true. Siegfried and Roy, remember those two guys?
Yes,
They
yeah.
declawed their cats. They say they didn't, but they did. And what did the cat do? Bite him. Because without the claws, they're going to resort to biting. It's the same in little cats. So when you declaw a cat, you are you are jeopardizing human health way more than you realize, because a cat scratch is something, if you called the emergency room and said, I got scratched by my cat, they would say, wash it and watch it. But if you call the emergency room and say, I got bitten by my cat, they're going to make you come in. And 1/3 of cat bites to the hand have to they actually result in IV antibiotics,
Uh,
hospitalization and IV antibiotics. So it's so much more dangerous. And declawed cats resort to biting. It's in the literature. It's absolutely true.
Absolutely amazing. That again, more good advice for everyone to be aware of. So let's go back to how this project came about then, because, were you always thinking about doing a documentary? I mean, you've been a huge advocate of this for a long, long time. How did this film come about?
Well, I think that it came about because it's time for people to see what we struggle with, and you can get press to try and tell people what's wrong, but and what the struggle is. But very often press decides that they have to show this other side of it, like there's two sides to something that's so wrong. And so they they would validate the excuses. Like, very often the press would say, well, it's probably better to declaw a cat if someone's immunocompromised. And you say, no, declaw cats bite more. So no, that is not a valid argument. But they felt as journalists that they had to give these two sides. So we wanted to present all the information, all the truth, and let people see the very truth of it, and see who's suffering from it. Like you see Burrito, the little cat in the movie, he would have died. He was going to die that day that we took him out. And because he was so aggressive, and it's so sad because he's such a sweet cat now, and he's still alive, Burrito.
That's good to hear. He's adorable.
Yeah. So the documentary came about because this issue has to be exposed. It has to be exposed that the veterinary medical associations are only fighting to keep it legal because it's such a moneymaker for some of their um, veterinarians in that who subscribe, who are their members. That's the only reason it's still legal. It's illegal in most of the rest of the world because it's obviously wrong.
It is. It's illegal in most of the rest of the world.
In oh yeah, it's ill in let's say the UK, the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons calls it unnecessary mutilation. That's how serious they call that it is to them. In veterinary, the Veterinary Ireland, which is the Irish equivalent of the AVMA, they say that any vet who would do that would be in big trouble and probably lose their license for doing it because it's considered mutilation. It's illegal in most of the rest of the world. It's just the United States and Ontario, Canada, really letting it happen still. And 22% of American cats are declawed. 22%. That is not a small number. And if you think about that, that shows that this is a big problem. And these cats wind up in the shelters. I'll tell you something that's really interesting. And just because I think you'll understand why I'm so passionate about this. In Los Angeles, we banned declawing in 2009, and we looked to see about cat relinquishment, because that's one of the arguments. Oh, cats are going to lose their homes if they can't be declawed. Well, in the 5 years before the ban, we took the number and we compared it to the 5 years after the ban, and the decrease in the number of cats in the pound after the ban was 43%. So 43%, and that translates to tens of thousands of cats not in the shelter. And it's not because of spay neuter or something like that, because the head of LA Animal Services at the time said, this is absolutely because we're not seeing the cats who people don't, they don't want them anymore after they've been declawed. Because if someone's intolerant of a cat scratching the couch, they're really intolerant of a cat peeing on the couch or biting. And these are absolute problems that declawed cats have. They stop using the litter box and they start biting.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. I mean, your passion comes through on this for sure. So your Paw Project, tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Well, the Paw Project is the world's largest nonprofit dedicated solely to ending declawing. I mean, it's my whole life. I work on it all the time. It's to me, if I can do something for cats in my life, this is something I can actually finish and I can actually accomplish this. I care about spay neuter and I care about all sorts of other things, but I can actually stop declawing. And if I could do that in the United States, I would feel like my veterinary degree and all this effort is worthwhile. And so I'm hoping that people will watch American Cats, The Good, the Bad, and the Cuddly, share it with people so that veterinarians stop declawing, and then I don't have to make it illegal everywhere. Because if veterinarians aren't getting paid to do it, they're going to not do it.
Yeah. Well, I wish you much success with this film and that many people go see it. Where can people see American Cats, The Good, the Bad, and the Cuddly? I love the title. Where can people see this film,
They
Jennifer?
can see it. It should be on Google, Apple, Amazon Prime, YouTube Movies, and many other streaming networks starting June 17th.
Great, great. Well, I wish you much success and
Thank
keep the
you.
fight going. And I'll be an advocate now too.
Oh, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. And I'm so glad to hear that it moved you so much.
It really did. Thank you so much for making the film and waking us up from
Yeah.
something that many of us were not even aware of.
Right, right, right.
You
Thank
know,
you. Thanks
yeah.
for taking the time to talk to me.
Oh, thank you for being on the show and good luck with everything. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Have a
Bye.
great day. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye.